It's not enjoy the long weekend. It's I thank God for my life, for the stars and stripes, may freedom forever fly. Let it ring, salute the ones who died, the ones that give their lives, so we don't have to sacrifice all the things we love.
What's up, Swaggy Vets? Hey, thank you so much for tuning in. Today is a special day. Today is Memorial Day, and we want to honor our brothers and sisters who paid the ultimate sacrifice so that we can sleep under the blanket of freedom. And today we remember them who made the ultimate sacrifice. And also today I'm sitting down with Miss Rhonda Austin, who is the mother of PFC Allan Jerome Austin. We want to honor him. He was a part of my unit, Alpha Company 72nd Main Support Battalion, and he tragically lost his life in Afghanistan. So we're going to sit down with her and talk about his legacy. And I'm also sitting down with Tymothy McKinstry, a good friend of mine who also was in the vehicle with PFC Austin as the tragedy happened. And also I'm sitting down with retired Colonel Gadson, who was a commander, and also Lieutenant Colonel Michael Sanford. Both of them are commanders who has sustained losses to their units, and they're going to talk about the morale and their outlook on Memorial Day. So thank you so much for tuning in and being with Swaggy Vets with this special event. Thank you so much, and God bless. Cue the intro.
Now on the set of the Swaggy Vets show, we do it for the sisters, bros from coast to coast. A place where it's safe to go to make sure that a soldier's stories are told all around the globe, going worldwide, representing military pride. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe.
You should already be at the position of a 10 for them boys when they come out, the original first Swaggy veteran. And then you got that boy Big Pen. Hey man, salute me or shoot me. And if you ain't no vet, you better not talk like one.
So I'll start with you, Greg. What does Memorial Day mean to you when we talk about Memorial Day?
Without a doubt, without hesitation, Memorial Day is about our service members and their families that have paid in full measure, that have given their life, whether hostile or not hostile, have given their life in service to their nation. And it's a day of solace. It's a day that we get to honor and recognize that sacrifice, simply put.
Absolutely. What about you, Mike? What do you think?
So first of all, I'm happy that you have us here together. It's an honor to be on this show with Colonel retired Greg Gadson, who's a really good friend of mine, and I'm very happy to be on this show with him, right next to him, and talk about Memorial Day. But similar to what Greg is talking about, it's about really keeping their memories alive and making sure that their families, the ones who are left back here on Earth with us, we can make sure that their legacy remains intact. I know for me, for the ones that I have in my battalion right now, we do everything we can to try to make sure that they know that we have not forgotten about them. Because like Greg said, they gave, their last full measure. So it's about honor and respect and legacy for me.
Absolutely. Greg, what do you wish civilians understood about Memorial Day? Because a lot of people that's never served really don't understand what Memorial Day is.
Yeah, so nothing complex, but I hope that every American takes a moment of silence to honor and acknowledge the sacrifice that underwrites the freedoms that we have every single day.
Absolutely.
That would be my simple wish, that a parent will stop and talk to their children, that we take some time during that day. And, for us that have worn the uniform for many years, we got the names that we can continue to say for, unfortunately, for too long, to recognize those names. And we that's what I want us to do, to recognize the underwriters of our freedom. Our services, but the Army's the oldest service. The Army's the oldest service, the only service authorized in the Constitution. I like to remind that to our to our other service members. But you know, our Army is 1 year older than our country. You know, our country is celebrating 250, but our Army is 251 years old.
Oh, wow.
On June 14th coming up. And so we wouldn't have a country if we didn't have an Army. And so look, they were people, the Army has been willing to people will have been putting their lives on the line before we became a country. And so for that reason, our armed services are the underwriters of our freedom. And, you know, when we don't know where our freedoms are born and we don't understand our freedoms, we take them for granted and we'll give them away and we'll lose them.
Yeah, absolutely. That's well put. Well put. So, Mike, is there any specific soldier friend moment that comes to mind every Memorial Day?
Yeah. So in particular for me, back in 2004, when I was an enlisted soldier, I was a young staff sergeant, 88 Mike, on my first tour to Iraq. Did a 15-month tour over there, and two of my colleagues, you know, in the same platoon, they lost their lives. You know, Tatiana Reed and Tori Dantzler. So I think about those two individuals, and make sure that, you know, and everybody that was there, right? Everybody that was in the same company with us, you know, we make sure that, you know, we pay gratitude to, you know, what, I mean, they actually were in the line of duty, you know, in combat, and, you know, got hit by some, you know, improvised explosive devices. And, you know, that comes to my mind a lot because, you know, especially for me, like in my career, you know, my career has gone through some stages. And, you know, sometimes I catch myself when I'm in front of formation and I'm talking about training, tough, realistic training and things that we do on a daily basis. And I tell them, don't take it for granted, right? Because we never know. You know, we never know when we may get the call as an organization, and we have to really take what we do. It could be the last time we're training for whatever we need to do for the country. So those two individuals, that was the first real, you know, really example for me that say, man, you know, I know these two individuals. It was real close. We lost a lot of folks during that time, but those two individuals were the first, and I remember it like it was yesterday. So they come to mind, and you know, we won't ever forget them.
Hey, salute to them. Made the ultimate sacrifice.
88 Mikes.
Greg. Yes, sir. 88 Mikes. Greg, does anybody come to mind every Memorial Day for you, sir?
Absolutely. Master Sergeant Barberline Banks, Master Sergeant Promotable Barberline Banks, and Master Sergeant Edwin Matos were killed when a Chinook went down in Afghanistan in April of 2005. I think it was April 6, 2005. 22 souls were killed actually, wow. But they were two of my soldiers when I was a Brigade XO. You know, and I say their names, and like Mike said, you don't have to, but I say their names because they were people. I mean, you think about they would be 20 years older than they were when they were killed right now. How much life did they miss? How many people that they didn't get to touch? You know, it's
absolutely,
yeah.
Gone, never forgotten.
Yep.
Now, this question is for both of you gentlemen, and I'll let you go first, Greg. Do you think the meaning of Memorial Day has been watered down in America?
Well, I'm not sure I'd use the term watered down, Bradley, but what I think is it's lost its way. It's sales, it's vacations, holiday. It's the unofficial start of summer, and what should be prominent, you know, is probably not. I mean, but you know that's the paradox of America, because that's what America. Those freedoms that we underwrite are the very freedoms to do what we do, and so I think there's a little bit of a paradox there, but I definitely think it's its luster and its purpose for us to stop as a nation um, has been lost. And not saying I can't be in anybody's mind. And so you know I can't say, but but um, I definitely think that um, it's the Memorial Day sale supposed to just drive me crazy, and people
Hmm.
say Happy Memorial Day. Yeah, so and maybe those are indications to make your point. So
Okay.
Yeah.
so
So
Thank you
Penn,
for
I
that.
would,
Thank you for that.
yeah. So I would, I'm just gonna parallel to what Greg is talking about here. So for me, it's more, so I think as Americans, right, until it hits close to home, it really doesn't matter, right? So when things hit close to home, we start to pay a little bit closer attention to things, right? And I think for us, right, I mean, I'm sure I know you've been in combat and you've seen multiple folks KIA, right? So it means something to us more than most Americans. So in saying that, sometimes it's about educating people too, right? Hey, look, this is what Memorial Day really is, right? And it's not to get upset about it and to tell them, well, no, that's not really, just explain it to them and say, hey, this is what Memorial Day is. They can still barbecue and, it can still be the start of the summer, but at least you've educated them and let them know, hey, look, freedom isn't free. Freedom isn't free,
Sure.
and folks have paid the ultimate sacrifice for us to actually barbecue, right? To go out in the back and barbecue and listen to Frankie Beverly and Maze and do the line dancing and everything else that we do. So to me, it's just like, again, you know, America, just like just like what Greg said, right? It's a paradox, right? So that, I mean, it's really not important until it hits close to home. Trust me. This is
Absolutely.
how.
Absolutely. So, Greg, for people who's never served, can you explain what happens in a unit when you lose a soldier?
yeah, gosh, well, um, the ones that kind of come to mind to me. Um, I remember being on Fox Salerno out in Afghanistan. So we were, out in Indian country, so to speak. And, we didn't, depending on when it happened and, a lot of times, what the visibility was, I told people many times that Afghanistan is one of the darkest places on earth.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was there, and I don't know, what the current SOP is, but when it was zero loom, it was for flights. It was life, limb, or eyesight. You know, we weren't putting birds up there because it was just dangerous, and the risk reward wasn't always there. But I can tell you, the one that comes to mind. I don't remember this staff sergeant's name, but I remember seeing him when he came in on a helicopter and his life was in question, and he didn't make it. And it wasn't until 2 o'clock, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning that he was going to get backhauled by helicopter, the Bagram. And I put out to the fob that we were going to line and pay our respects as his body was taken to the helicopter. And sure enough, between 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, everybody's out of their tents and we're paying our respects. I don't know. For some reason, that just sticks in my head to this day. I can remember it like yesterday, um, and I'm proud. I'm proud that everyone got up to pay their respects, and it it's there. There is no there's nothing like seeing a person that is deceased, especially one that's been killed. If someone dies of natural causes, you can old age, if we're lucky, but to know that that breath, I always say that no one got up and said that I'm going to die today. Maybe there are some, but I certainly didn't say I was going to die today. I didn't say I was going to get hit today, but it happens. And honestly, Brad, even seeing enemy killed, it's a human. Somebody was breathing. Somebody had hopes and dreams. Somebody was doing exactly what they were told to do, just like we're doing what we're told to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I respect life. It doesn't mean you agree with everything that everybody does, but life is life.
Absolutely. I know, Mike, kind of like before we got on here, we were chit chatting. I know you said
Mm-hmm.
your unit has lost a couple soldiers. I know it wasn't in
Yeah.
combat, but still, losing a soldier is losing a soldier.
Yeah. So, I mean, even if it's in combat or if it's in garrison, what I think what the public doesn't see, right? What the public doesn't see is that it's an organization, right? So the organization, because bad things happen to good units, right? And being in the army is tough, right? And if you go into combat, I mean, people could get killed. So it becomes a leadership challenge. And to Greg's point, right? And I'm sure, he said, folks got up 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and paid their respects. But the other side to that is, as a leader in that organization, how do you get those individuals to pay their respects and then turn around the next day and go do what they need to do, to to bring, to be lethal, right? And to kill folks, right? Because you may have to kill somebody. That's just the honest, just cutting to the chase. You may have to kill somebody. And it's, that's what the public doesn't see, right? Death is death. And the good part about this, in my experience, right, when we've had these instances in these, various units where we've had folks, KIA, we've had people, we've had fatalities, non-combatant fatalities and things like that. Everybody comes together. And that tells you a lot about the organization that you're a part of. And it tells you a lot about the culture as well, right? And in most units that I've been in, everybody has come together and we've paid our respects, and we make sure that the families are taken care of. And that's the stuff, right? That's the stuff about the Army that I wouldn't trade for anything, because it's like it's, sisterhood and a brotherhood. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's just, but that's the stuff that the public doesn't see.
Absolutely. When a service member loses their life, whether it be in combat or garrison, the sacrifice doesn't stop with them. What should people understand about the family left behind, do you think? And I'll start with you. Go ahead and start with you, Greg.
Yeah. So, you know, first of all, as someone who's been was combat wounded, I'm able to stay connected to my Army family. I'm able to, I'm literally sitting here on Fort Belvoir, my last duty assignment in the Army. I'm going to go to watch the Lieutenant Dan band play, and and those Gold Star families, their connection is gone. Is gone. It's a memory. And one of the things that, ironically, why I'm here and why I'm part of the Garrison East Foundation is that is part of our charter, is to continue to honor and recognize Gold Star families. And that, but every day a Gold Star family lives with that loss is permanent. That person that, we recognize the the missing soldier table, the missing service member table, that holds in their heart and present every single day. And I think about, sometimes, honestly, I think about this very weekend, because I was wounded in early May, And I finally got out of ICU Memorial Day weekend, Brad. And I remember being in my hotel room, in my hospital room out of the ICU at Walter Reed. I haven't told many people this, and I remember hearing the motorcycles going down Georgia Avenue for Rolling Thunder, and I just broke out and I started crying because I realized, man, how close I was to never hearing that sound.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I realized how close I was. So it's important to me. It's important in how, I think, like Mike and I and you and what we do continue to communicate, whether it's on Memorial Day weekend or whether it's, in another event, it doesn't, that sacrifice is every day.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to remember it, we have to acknowledge it, and we have to share it. Because there are going to have to be people that are willing to make that same sacrifice in order to preserve the democracy.
Yep.
Well, God's got a plan for you, Greg, and you're here. You're able to grace us with your presence, and we appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Same for you, Mike.
I echo the same sentiments, Penn. I'm so grateful to have met Greg. Greg and I kind of met, I think it was serendipity. We went to the same grad school, and he's come out. If I call Greg and ask him to do something, it's like, okay, yeah, where I need to be, right? He does. All he asks for is a time, location, where he needs to be, and he pours into people. So I'm so grateful for you being here and just pouring into us, right? Every time I hear you talk, I just get energized, right? Because
Yeah.
I know that what I do every single day matters. And if I could, man, I would everywhere I go, I would invite you to come out and speak. But I know you're a busy man. I in my current battalion, we have a few Gold Star families, and the division does the right thing by them. I can tell you that wholeheartedly because every year we do something for them, and we have a warrior walk where they come, and I get to interact with the family members, and they talk about their son or daughter about what they've done. But it's incredibly important that commanders and those folks who every time someone changes out of a battalion or a brigade or a company, that they keep track of that, right? It's our responsibility to make sure that the next leaders that are coming in understand who the Gold Star family members are, right? So we can make sure that we're keeping them up to date. As a matter of fact, I have a ball coming up in October, and I'm going to invite the Gold Star family members out, right? Just to, have them come out, right? If they come, they come. If not, I just want them to come out and have a good time and know that we haven't forgotten about them. And, that sacrifice that their
Absolutely.
son or daughter or husband or wife, cousin, friend, whatever, was important to us.
This question's for you, Greg. And you kind of can weigh on this heavily. Everything that you've been through, physically, mentally, how did your perspective on sacrifice, survival, and Memorial Day change after your survival?
Yeah. Thanks. Certainly my appreciation for life. I'm very careful how I say that surviving was a gift.
Mm-hmm.
And the gift is having a deeper appreciation for life and not letting it that knowing that tomorrow is not promised. And Mike's heard me talk about this before, but be present, live today. Don't hold on to yesterday and don't worry about tomorrow. Live the day, because that's all we can do. Now, when you tie this to Memorial Day, and I think I've mentioned this Brad, but I to us surviving veterans, and I know that many of us have struggles. I have struggles. Look, I'm going to share to the world that You know, I had prostate cancer, and I just had a prostatectomy in January. So I had my prostate removed. You know, sometimes you're like, you know, do the battles ever stop? And they don't. And tomorrow's not promised. But, you know, I didn't want to play around with that disease, and so I got rid of it because I want to see my grandparents, I want to see my grandkids grow up.
Absolutely.
And that's the most important thing to me. And with respect to my injuries, with respect to all of us survivors, because we're all survivors, whether we were wounded physically, emotionally, mentally, we're all survivors. And to me, our biggest obligation is to make their sacrifice worth it. So I don't, you know, we got to work through our problems, but I don't get to feel sorry for myself because I'm alive.
Mm-hmm.
And Master Sergeant Banks and Master Sergeant Matos are not alive. And they damn sure would want to switch places with us. So, you know, as bad as we think we got it sometimes, you know, our Gold Star families, our Gold Star survivors, they paid the biggest, they paid personally take as a challenge to make their sacrifice worth it. You know, that's the movie I'm going to say is Saving Private Ryan. You know, he's reflecting was, you know, and to me, the most emotional part of that movie is at the gravesite when he's wondering was his life worth it? Was the sacrifice of those guys worth it?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we got to make it worth. We got to make that sacrifice worth it. Sorry, I get emotional. I get that movie, that scene in the cemetery. That to me says it all.
Well, we appreciate you sharing that with us.
Yeah.
Now, this is for you, Mike. You kind of touched on this on the last one. As an active duty colonel who's commanding a battalion, how do you teach today's soldiers the importance of Memorial Day beyond just it being a holiday weekend? You kind of touched on it a little bit about soldiers.
I mean, I think most soldiers understand what Memorial Day is about. You know, when you're still serving, and you're a new soldier, it takes you some time to really understand, especially if you haven't been to combat, right? So going to combat gives you a different perspective about things. You know, the generation that's serving now, a lot of them have not been to combat. So you got old guys like me, you know,
Yeah.
telling them war stories and things like that, and figuring out, you know, to understand like what's important. So for me, it's really just inculcating the warrior spirit, the warrior ethos, so they understand that, you know, again, like I said earlier, we are in a business where people will get killed if we're called to go to combat. And as a leader, right, understanding, trying to get them to pay their respects, because a lot of this stuff happens, right? I mean, if we're over wherever we're at and somebody is KIA, well, you just can't go home, right? So you got to turn back around, talk to your organization, and then hey, let's get back to what we got to do, right? Because we do, the nation's bidding. So I think they understand what it is. So yeah.
Absolutely. Well, gentlemen, that's all I got. I really appreciate y'all coming and giving your perspective on this Memorial Day special. All right, so today I'm sitting down with one of my really good friends that I've known for over 2 decades, Mr. Tymothy McKinstry. What's up, my brother? How you doing?
What's going on, my brother?
All right. I'm having McKinstry on. We call him Mac or Q. And y'all known him. He's been on the show twice for our reunion special. And then he was our first guest on the show. So y'all should know him pretty well. So mainly what we're doing is this is our Memorial Day special. And we're here remembering the people that made the ultimate sacrifice. And today we're going to talk about PFC Jerome Austin. So because McKinstry knew him. It was his soldier, and he knew him very well. So for people who did not know Austin, what kind of soldier was he, Mac?
Ooh, good soldier. Good soldier. Always trying to be like me. And
Well, you were his mentor.
exactly. Try to, trying to do his best to make rank. You know,
Mm-hmm.
he was on a program where, he couldn't make rank because he was a little overweighted. And I kind of stayed on his butt about that a lot. Couldn't never pass tape.
Yeah.
No matter what you did, you can't you can pass your PT test, but you can't pass your tape. So always up under me 24/7. If I move, he moved. He was my gunner. He was my soldier. Yeah.
What so what's a really good memory that sticks with you today about Austin?
Ooh. To be honest, we was in a firefight.
Mm.
He was my gunner. He firing back at the enemy, screaming to the tip top of his voice, "I'm going home to my mama."
Hey.
There's one thing that sticks in my head more than anything. I'm going home to my mama.
Yeah. Hey, he don't play about his mama.
No, at all.
So it was safe to say that you and him had a special bond because you were his mentor and you guys were in a combat environment, and being a mentor, and especially being in combat, you're pretty much together 24/7, whether you're in the truck or you're going to the gym or you're doing anything. Talk about that bond with him.
Whoa, the bond is extreme. It's almost like blood, pretty much. And to just not be my soldier, but be my actual gunner in my truck. So you're with me all the time. So the bond is something that you can't really even explain. It's like he was my little brother.
Absolutely. So how did what happened, how did that affect you? And I'm trying to get a mentor's perspective, as Memorial Day comes, how it affects, being in combat and losing one of your soldiers who's really close to you. I just want to get your perspective on it. How'd that affect you?
That still affect me to the day, Pen.
Yeah,
That was a hard blow for me. I words can't even describe what that was to me. You know, Even though I got severely injured myself, words can't even describe it.
absolutely. And you just described he was like a little brother to you. So in retrospect, it's like losing a family member.
Yeah, because us in that 88 Mike world, Pen, we always looked at each other as brothers. We was out there every day together, and me and you had been deploying since Iraq together. So the bond is extreme because we was always outside the wire together, and we was all we had, which that was Sergeant Johnson's main words. We all we got, you know.
So how do you think it affected the unit for Austin's loss?
Destroyed the unit, destroyed the soldiers, destroyed a lot of things. People upset with people. It was a lot that I had to come back, you know, and kind of just gather everybody back up and like, hey, we still got more to do. We still got more time out here. Just every day we leave out of here, we saying our prayers and we thanking Austin for that sacrifice, you know, because that killed me. That took a piece of me away. Especially getting ready to leave, we ain't never lost nobody that close to us, Pen. We had been doing this for a good little minute at this time, and for me to deploy, and on the day that we leave, I go to his mom is all crying. This is his first deployment, and I'm like, calm down, I got him, you know, nothing gonna happen to him, and I'm giving her my word. He riding around in the vehicle with me. Cause I never expected nothing to happen to me. Cause I'm out here leading the convoy. I'm making sure everything is legit. I just I just didn't see that, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you were in the vehicle with Austin when, the tragedy struck. So, and we kind of talked about this on your episode. You suffer from survival's guilt also, as do a lot of people who lose people in combat. So because I feel that sometimes too.
Right.
And
You know, the guy was a baby still, couldn't even buy alcohol, you know.
so, and I know you were also in the vehicle when we lost Sergeant Gellick also. So I know that that's been affecting you hard, losing 2 soldiers. So does Memorial Day, when it comes around, does that kind of mean something different than you now?
It means a lot different. You know, when we was Joe's pen, we used to celebrate this day because, we really didn't understand really the real impact of Memorial Day. We knew of it and we was a part of it, but we didn't really understand what it was because we never really lost anybody. And we didn't know nobody who had died. You know what I mean? But now it's totally different now. I don't even celebrate it anymore. There's a day I just sit in the house and reflect.
Yes, sir, absolutely. What would you say to civilians that really don't understand what Memorial Day is? Because, I mean, you've got it. I've got it sometimes. People will say thank you for your service on Memorial Day, but we let them know it's not about us. It's about people who made the ultimate sacrifice.
Right. I tell people all the time, this day ain't a party day. This day ain't a go to bike weeks and have fun and enjoy yourself. This is soldiers that paid the sacrifice for you to be able to do that. This is soldiers who done died for you for your freedoms. This soldiers that done died for you to be able to walk outside of your house and eat and live good. I'm not trying to knock your celebration, but at least know what you're celebrating. A lot of people didn't
Man,
die for this moment for you to have an off day of work, you know?
yep, and we always say freedom isn't free.
Freedom isn't free.
Somebody's paid the ultimate sacrifice for you to have this freedom. So,
And to be
since you've been
honest, 2 times it could have been me too. But luckily, God didn't see it was time for me to go yet, even though maybe I wanted to go with him.
Well, God's got a plan for you, my brother. You're up here sharing your story. This has probably helped somebody, which goes into my next question. What would you say to other veterans who are carrying loss to somebody in their unit? What kind of advice could you give them since you've been through it twice?
If you ain't had help, seek help. Maybe back in the days, the Army wasn't as reluctant to help you out with issues. Once you're out, you're out. But in this era, they have really understood this PTSD thing and the problems that soldiers are getting out with. All you have to do is just go in the VA office and ask for help, and they will take you in and get you help
Absolutely, man. We always preach mental health is everything, man. So go sit on somebody's couch and talk if you need to
and talk.
talk.
And if you need to, me, you could call me. 22 soldiers kill themselves, they say, a day because they can't handle this. And I believe it because I was almost there on my own. Seek help.
Yeah, I'll tell you, man, I can see how people go down that rabbit hole because when I first got out trying to find things that I want to do, I felt into deep depression too. I had to go seek help also. Sit down, it's very, eye-opening just to sit down and talk to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely recommend that. And you're getting help now.
Yeah, I'm still getting help. I still go to mental health. I still go to counseling, and I've been out for a good little while now, and I still do it because I just can't. I can't shake this. You know, I can't shake seeing them boys laying there. I was with them when they took their last breaths. I was there when they had the big smiles on their faces. You know that's a lot.
Yeah, man. Well, Mac, I appreciate you coming on, man, and sharing your story and honoring Austin on this Memorial Day, man. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
And I want to shout out all the other soldiers. Saul McDonald, our mechanics that died out there with us, Garrett, Austin, got rest in peace. And I appreciate it, Penn.
Hey, salute to all of them, man. And salute to
Tate.
Sergeant Tate, salute to Tate, Sergeant Albert Ware.
Yep,
Salute to
Ware.
him. Yeah.
Yep.
So, man, we just salute all our brothers and sisters that have made the ultimate sacrifice so that we can enjoy this day.
Yep.
All right, everybody. I'm sitting here with Miss Rhonda Austin, who is a Gold Star family member for PFC Jerome Austin. And we're sitting down with her now, remembering his legacy and talking about his service in the U.S. Army and the 82nd Airborne Division. So you were talking about, so before Austin joined the military, what kind of dreams or goals did he personally have?
He always wanted to be a chef. He was a really good cook, actually, because, I taught him. But he ended up being a better cook than me in certain ways. So he wanted to do that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he did that, and then he kind of got not quite happy with it. He got kind of bored. So he worked a couple of jobs. And then finally I said, well, son, one thing somebody can't take away from me is military, because there's a lot of military in our family. So he decided on the Army. And I said, wait a minute, I was kind of worried. But he really made his mind up when 9/11 happened. And I was really worried about him going over there and being, and not coming back. So I said, Alan, are you sure? He said, yeah, Mom, I'm sure. I said, well, well, why do you want to go? He said, I want to go because my brother can't. And what am I going to say to that, right? That's what I raised.
Wow, that's powerful.
I raised a man. He said, I'm going to go because my brother can't. So there he went. And he always told me, so, Mama, what I love about the Army? I said, what is it? Say, you can work half a day and be paid for all day.
Okay. So, Miss Austin, what Memorial Day comes around, what does that day feel like personally now?
Oh, it feels like it's starting all over again from 18 years ago, honestly. It's like, okay, it's May now, right? When you think about May and you get close
Yes,
to
ma'am.
August was when he was killed. And from August all the way until his birthday in November, it's difficult. Because I wish I could teach a class on Memorial Day, about Memorial Day, because people don't understand why. And everybody's not very versed or taught about Memorial Day. It was, when we were in school, it was a holiday. It was fun. We got to take the day off and everything. But as things happen, you get educated as far as what it is. It's not just about having a day off from work or having a day off from school. It's about honoring those who put their lives down for us, the ultimate sacrifice of devotion. It's like it's brand new, fresh. Not as sad, but it's still sad. It still stabs you, because you wonder what the child would be doing.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
wonder how many children he would have by now. And people always say, well, he's in a better place. No, he's not. Better places with me. And yes, I'm being selfish. But, Memorial Day means to me. It's not just about me,
Yes,
one
ma'am.
Gold Star parent. It's about people I've met along the way. I'm still meeting people that have lost their children, who have just, y'all didn't get drafted. Y'all went in. Y'all just went in. And that's to be appreciated, and that's to be honored. It's about honor. It's about honor.
Do you wish more Americans understood about Gold Star families?
Well, like I said, it was a club nobody wants to belong to, a club nobody ever expects to belong to. And I wish people would understand that, you lose part of your heart. It's unnatural to lose a child anyway, but to lose one to something that that was their job, that they chose to do, to take care of us, to protect us, and to come home or not come home. I wish people
Mm,
understood that. Even when
yeah.
y'all come home, some of y'all come home not quite yourselves. Nobody wants to talk about it. I never pushed him or pressured him to talk about it. He didn't want to talk about it, so I left it alone. But I wish people would understand that the Gold Star is a way of acknowledging the sacrifices that even we have made as parents, because we serve with them. We serve with y'all. You know,
Yes, ma'am.
when the child says they want to go to the military, um, that's not a lightly taken decision. And then when you don't have a chance to say goodbye when they're
Mm,
killed. And that's very hard. I mean, I talked to my son 12 hours before he got killed. I just talked to him 12 hours before he got killed. He said, "Mom, I got a job to go do. I'm going to go do it and I'll call you back." He never called back.
mm.
And
How, I know that
hard.
must be tough. I don't wish that on any parent.
And I hope you never do. I hope you never do.
Yes, ma'am. How, how do you, how do you want Austin to be remembered
I
by
want
the
him to be
world?
remembered as, oh my goodness, as someone who loved what he did. He really enjoyed
Mm,
being in the military. He loved it. He liked protecting people anyway. So him being a soldier was just a part of who he was as a person. And I wish people would
yes.
understand. Uh, he was he was a good guy. He wasn't perfect. None of us perfect, but he was a good
No,
person,
ma'am.
and he loved being in the military. He loved being a soldier. And the last card that I ever got from him was a Mother's Day card. He signed it, "You're American Soldier." He had never signed his
Oh,
cards, so that means he
wow.
took it to his who he was. He was proud to be who he was, and I will forever be proud of him for the decision he made. And I'm so glad that he gained lifelong friends and battle buddies that are still in contact with me. Y'all have no idea how much that touches my heart, and I love that. I just, I mean, like I said, I'm still meeting people, friends of you guys, and friends of other Ghost Star parents that I'm still meeting, and we share stories. And I wish people would know that Alan did what he loved. He did what he loved, and he didn't have any regret. Even when he would come home on R&R, he'd be okay. He was a different guy emotionally, uh, but he was still my boy. He was still my beautiful boy.
Yes, ma'am.
Took care of his brother. They were so funny together. His spirit will never die. His spirit will never
Yes,
die.
ma'am. Never
He'll
be
always,
forgotten.
right, right.
What message would you give to families who are carrying the pain of losing a loved one in service? How have you been able to manage the pain?
My goodness, if it wasn't for God, I'd be gone. You know, I'm gonna tell
Amen.
you a story. You might think I'm nuts, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it because I've said it to several people. You know, my baby got killed. You know what I was doing besides drinking a whole lot? I was actually so crazy. I was walking around waiting for somebody to start a fight with me so they could kill me so I could go and meet my baby. You know what I'm saying? That's just go. That's how sick I was. But God had a plan for me, and I'm still here after 18 years,
Yes,
mainly
ma'am.
because of Matthew. He still, I have to finish take care of him. And it's my faith. It's just my faith. People look at me and they see me smiling, but they don't know. You don't know. And I don't ever want anybody to know that deep part of me that is a hole in my soul. It's a part of my heart is gone because of Alan. You
Mm,
know, I uh I smile, but my heart breaks every year that passes. Every birthday, every Christmas, every holiday. And then when you meet
yes,
people,
ma'am.
the grief is brand new, fresh, and they're only like a year in. I always tell them, I say, look, the first is the worst. First year is the worst. And it really was. Not saying it gets easier because grief does not change. Grief does not end. It just changes over time. And
Hmm.
it takes a different level of faith to deal with every year that passes. You can't invest in anything to ease that pain. It's always going to be there. And you learn to deal with it. Still hurt. And when you feel like when you feel like it's gonna just when you feel like it's gonna end you, it always comes where one of you guys or one of you ladies, you reach out to me. And I remember what good friends my son had. And that helps. Y'all are brave and wonderful, and I love each and every one of you. I'm so proud of you. Call y'all
Thank
my
you.
soul
Thank you so
today.
much. Yeah.
Like, I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. I really appreciate you taking the time to come on here and remembering PFC Allan Jerome Austin. Always remember his name and for sharing your experience with us. Hopefully, this can help other families that maybe are going through the tragedy also.
I truly hope so too. And I appreciate the opportunity to share with you
Yes,
guys.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Anytime.